Welcome back to Full-Time Yoga Teacher Podcast. My name is Reika and I am your host. If you are a returning listener, thank you so much for coming back and listening to this podcast episode. If you are a new listener, welcome. I'm so happy that you are here. So this podcast started about a year ago because I wanted to interview different full-time yoga teachers all over the world and share their stories, their journey, their career path that it took for them to be where they are at. Because these are the information that I wanted to know and I was so curious about when I first became a yoga teacher and decided to pursue a full-time yoga teaching career path. Now I am almost a decade into my full-time yoga teaching, and I offer mentorship for yoga teachers as well as teach many trainings and continuing educations for yoga teachers. And these are the question that comes up a lot is how is it like being a full-time teacher, as well as how possible is it to be a full-time yoga teacher? And I can share my stories to my students, but my story is just one story and it's not the only story. That's why I wanted to interview different full-time yoga teachers around the world and share their journey, because everyone's journey is so different. And that's kind of what I like to highlight in this podcast. I also interviewed part-time teachers as well as teacher who used to be full-time, who is no longer full-time teacher, or somebody who used to be a full-time teacher and now are no longer a yoga teacher. So I think these are all great stories and journeys to share, to shed a light on what it's really like to be a yoga teacher, to be a full-time yoga teacher, or to be a part-time yoga teacher. So I hope these stories and episodes are interesting to you and also inspiring. I have been so inspired by so many people I interviewed on this podcast, and I hope you are also finding inspirations as well. So today's episode is slightly different. I am not interviewing anyone. This is the final episode of 2024, and I want to do an episode on a year wrap-up, 2024 wrap-up, and what I am looking forward to in 2025. So before I get started on this week's episode, I do want to make a few announcements. I am teaching Smart Flow 200-hour teacher training in February to May of 2025. So that's coming up in a few months. This is a 200-hour teacher training that is a vinyasa training, but this training curriculum was developed by my main yoga teacher and mentor, Annie Carpenter. She have developed a method of teaching and practicing yoga called Smart Flow. So that is why this teacher training is called Smart Flow 200-hour teacher training. If you don't know or not familiar with Smart Flow, you are so welcome to join this teacher training. It's going to give you a great foundation to become a yoga teacher. If you're not interested in becoming a yoga teacher, but want to learn deeper about yoga and you want to go deeper in your own practice and understanding of the history and the philosophy of yoga, as well as the physical practice of yoga, it's a great training. I have been part of many 200-hour teacher training before, have worked for different yoga schools to teach 200-hour teacher training, and by far, Smart Flow 200-hour teacher training is something I can 100% stand behind and proudly say that I recommend this training. And if you know me, you know that I don't say this very lightly. When I recommend someone or recommend teacher or recommend a training, I have to fully believe in what I say. So all that to say, this 200-hour teacher training is going to be great, amazing, high quality teacher training. It's happening from February to May in Laguna Niguel, Orange County of California. It is every other weekend format, in-person only format. And it's going to be happening at the yoga studio called Live Meta in Laguna Niguel. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to message me through my website or through my Instagram and ask me any questions. We are having a final one last Q&A session or info session for this teacher training in January 15th, which is Wednesday. We're going to have it in the evening. So if you're interested in coming on to that info session, you can join via Zoom live stream or in person, depending on, what's more convenient for you. If you live in LA, you might want to join via Zoom. If you are local to Orange County, then maybe you can join in person. But that is happening January 15th, the info session. All the link will be on the show notes. So you can just click on the show notes and click the link that is appropriate for what you're looking for. Another announcement is that I am hosting mentorship program for yoga teachers. This is a group mentorship program that I have been hosting for past several years, maybe 3-4 years. And it has grown every time, every year. It has developed and improved each time, depending on what people are wanting in the group. But this year in 2025, Module 1 is from January to April. It's 4-month long. We have yoga philosophy meeting. We have Q&A meeting. We have yoga asana lab. So I'm going to be going into details of foundational yoga poses, alignments, variations, modifications, how to use props, what kind of cues to use in each poses, what are some stabilizing muscles that we want, what are some muscles that need to be lengthened for each poses. So I'm going to go over in details each foundational poses in this module, as well as there's a guest teacher workshop that's happening once a month. We have Diana May coming to teach us a workshop on neurosomatic. We have Ali G coming to teach us inversion and how to teach inversion as a yoga teacher. We have Hannah Lee coming to teach trauma-informed yoga. So many amazing lineup of great teachers coming to teach a special topic workshop. You can really deepen your knowledge in these topics. I also offer one-on-one sessions in my mentorship group so we can really talk about your specific goals or questions or specific situations that you're going through, or maybe specific poses or asana that you want to go over in details. I can go over your sequencing. That's kind of where the one-on-one sessions can come in handy. There's also book club, yoga book club, that is part of the mentorship meetings. We're going to be reading the book called The Kleshas, and we'll meet once a month to discuss the book and so much more. You also get a free membership to my online yoga studio. You can come to all my online Zoom classes, and or you can watch my recorded content and classes from my on-demand library. So there's a lot of perks to joining this mentorship program. But the best part of the mentorship program is the community that we have. So you are going to be in the community of other yoga teachers who care, who want to deepen their knowledge, who want to become a better yoga teacher, and also who want to live a yogic life where we can incorporate yogic philosophy into our day-to-day lives, how we think, how we react to different situations. So if that is interesting to you, the mentorship is 4-month long, January to April, and we have several meetings per month, an option to join live for some of the workshop as well. You can join from any time zones, any countries. If you cannot make it to any of the meetings are usually recorded, so you can watch the recording later. So if you have questions about the mentorship program, please feel free to message me and let me know, and I would love to share more about the mentorship. The application form to the mentorship program will be on the show notes as well. Another announcement is that I am hosting a workshop in partnership with Alter Society, which is a brewery/coffee shop located in downtown Long Beach. Beautiful building, beautiful space. It used to be Masonic Temple. So on the 3rd floor, there's this huge, big space with wood floor, high ceilings, beautiful natural light. That is where I'm going to be teaching yoga and sound workshop. So I'll be teaching yoga, and my friend Carlos is going to be playing live music, and he's going to give a nice, juicy sound bath shavasana at the end. And the ticket to this event is $25, and you get yoga, live music, sound bath, and free drink after class. Whether you want to buy a beer or you want to buy a cup of coffee, that is included in the ticket you purchase. So this event is happening January 12th, which is Sunday from 10:30 a.m. And that is in Long Beach, California. Invite your friends, family, come and join us for a nice morning of yoga, sound bath, and stay and socialize and mingle after if you like. Lastly, my announcement is about my upcoming yoga retreat. It is called Ethical Yoga Retreat in Nicaragua. Align with purpose. So this retreat is more than just a yoga retreat. It's a yoga retreat that makes a difference. Yoga retreat with purpose. Part of the fee you pay for the retreat is going to go directly to the local NGO that I am going to be partnering with. Part of the activities of the retreat is to go into the community and volunteer for these organizations, to give back, to get to know the community, to foster relationship with the community and the people in the area that we're coming to visit. We are visitor, so how can we come to learn with open heart? How can we also have a positive impact as a visitor? So that's kind of one of the main pillar of this retreat is, of course, it's a yoga retreat. Of course, it's going to be by the beach. It's beautiful. There's a pool. There's a beautiful sunset. All of that is there. But also we are going to be contributing back to the community we're visiting. So if you're interested in that retreat, I just opened up more spots, more rooms for that retreat because I have been getting tremendous interest in this retreat. And I am so honored, grateful for all of you who already signed up for the retreat. And I just cannot wait to experience this beautiful 1 week in Nicaragua with you. All that to say, there's more spots open now. We have opened up extra spaces in the retreat center so we can accommodate more guests. So there are more options, more rooms, more beds available. So if you were on the fence, I would highly encourage go check it out and put down your deposit before the spots are taken. The early bird discount is on until January 10th. So I would recommend make that decision before January 10th because you just never know if the spot's going to be open if you wait too long. And you also can get a discount if you book your spot before the early bird ends. So that's happening July 12th through the 19th of 2025 in Nicaragua. So that kind of wraps up my announcement I have for this week. And I want to get into this week's podcast, which is about year wrap up. How was your 2024? I want to share my highlights of 2024, places I got to travel, some of the growth I experienced in my business-wise or in my yoga teaching career-wise, and also personal growth. And for 2025, what I'm looking forward to, what are some goals that I have, and what is my intention for the year coming up. So that's kind of what this podcast is going to be about. So 2024 highlights. Number one, I mean, this is not really in order. I guess it's in order of the timeline. So it's not the order of the significance or importance, if that makes sense. So in 2024, at the very beginning, I started this podcast, Full-Time Yoga Teacher Podcast. And I told myself, I'm going to commit to this project for 1 year. I'm going to produce 1 episode a week every Monday for 1 year. And guess what? I did it. The episode you're listening to now is the 52nd episode, which is coming out on the last Monday of 2024. So I am happy, proud to say I completed my goal, my commitment to produce 1 episode a week for 1 year. So I have total of 52 episodes and 44 interviews. So I have interviewed 44 yoga teachers for this podcast. Amazing people that I have connected with and met with and learned about their journey. It's been such a wonderful experience so far. I sprinkled in solo episodes throughout this 52 episodes that I released in 2024. So first few is like a trailer and what this podcast is about. Final episode, the one you're listening to, is a year wrap up. And in between every 10th episode, I did a solo episode. So if you like to break up the typical interview format, go check out every 10th episode. I did a solo episode, and the most recent one I did is called The Shadow Side of Working for Yoga Studio, and I share my personal experiences of some of the challenges I have experienced working for yoga studios. So if that's a topic you're interested in hearing, I invite you to go have a listen to the 50th episode. And yeah, I would always love hearing your feedback. If you want to write me a comment on Spotify podcasts, or if you just want to write me on Instagram or through my website to just, share your experience with the studio or share your thoughts on the episode. I always love hearing from you. So that's my one of the highlight is I started my podcast. I did produce once a week for a whole year, which was really hard. And let me tell you, this is a one-woman show. I don't have anybody editing for me. I don't have anybody making the content for me. I don't have anybody uploading, writing the description for me. I do everything. And for each week's episode, I think on average, it takes me about 4 hours, maybe even 4 to 5 hours each week for each episode. So that is a lot of my time. And most of it, I would say 99% or maybe 100% of it is unpaid time that I have dedicated to this podcast. So I am rethinking how to move forward with the podcast. If you have any thoughts or ideas, I welcome you to share with me what you think I can do with the podcast. I am thinking of making it shorter content, so maybe shorter interviews or shorter series of podcasts. And I'll still sprinkle in longer interviews in it. I could start asking for donation or offer exclusive content for paid subscribers. And there are different ways of navigating this podcast world and how can I continue to produce content and episodes without burning myself out. So that's definitely on my mind of how to move forward. But don't worry, podcast is continuing in 2025 for now. I do have shorter form series content that is more like a short series coming up, as well as few longer interviews sprinkled in. So yeah, I am trying to play around with maybe creating a shorter content so it takes less time for me to edit and produce each week. But if you have any thoughts, ideas, proposal, I would love to hear from you so I can continue to produce podcasts to you every week. Okay, so that's one of the highlight was starting and completing my goal of one episode a week of my podcast. Next highlight is that I was able to assist Annie, my teacher, Annie Carpenter's 200-hour teacher training early in 2024. From February to April, I flew to Oakland every other weekend, stayed there for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Thursday as well, to assist her 200-hour teacher training. And this was a great experience. I loved it. I learned so much, and I felt like I was in this beautiful community of yoga teachers. And that experience ended with us going to Tulum, Mexico for 1 week. It was the final part of the teacher training, 1 week intensive, all of us together in Tulum, Mexico, in a beautiful retreat. And I actually assisted with logistic of that retreat on site. And it was a great experience. I learned so much about assisting the logistical side of the retreat, but I also learned so much about smart flow. I learned so much about leading a high quality teacher training. And I got to meet so many amazing people that some of the people I met, I got to interview on this podcast, like June from Australia, Dre, who lives in Seattle, and there's more to come in 2025. That was such a fun and amazing growing experience for me. And as soon as I finished assisting Annie's 200-hour teacher training in April, I moved to Peru. end of April until end of August, I was in Peru, lived in a small jungle town called Moyobamba, where I worked for a yoga school called Moksha and led 4 200-hour teacher trainings in 4 months. I worked 2 weeks on and had about 2 weeks off, so I got to travel a lot in between my trainings, which was really fun. My mom came to visit for one of those breaks and got to experience and travel around Peru, which was such a great experience. Another highlight is that I started training for full marathon. I used to run quite a bit when I was in grad school and a few years after my grad school. I ran a handful of half marathons before, but never full one. I used to have desire to run a full marathon, but that desire disappeared. It was gone. And I haven't run for almost like 10 years when my sister reached out to me and asked me to run a marathon with her for her birthday. So I said yes, and I started training for the full marathon as soon as I got back from Peru, so in September. And the training is still going. I think we're on training week 14 or 15, and we have our race date on February 2nd in Huntington Beach. So I am excited to run and hopefully complete with a smile on my face without any injuries on this full marathon. But the training experience has been challenging and also beautiful at the same time. So again, it's teaching me the importance of dedication and commitment, and also teaching me to enjoy the process. So that's another highlight of 2024 is my full marathon training, which is going to come to a finale in February of 2025, beginning of February. Another highlight of 2024 is that I finally made a decision. I've been wanting to host an ethical yoga retreat for a really long time. It just took me a really long time to find the right spot, right location, finding right local NGO to partner with, and finally found the place I want to lead my first retreat, booked it, and start announcing my Nicaragua retreat in December. So this month, it's the end of 2024. And I am so honored, grateful that within a week of me announcing my retreat, I had 10 people sign up. And now I think it's up to 13 or 15 people. We just recently opened up more spots so more people can sign up. So there's still spots available. And I'm just so honored. One of the biggest fear of running my retreat was not filling it up, not being able to meet my minimum, maybe losing my deposit at the retreat center because I didn't have anybody signing up for the retreat. That's kind of my biggest fear of organizing a retreat is I may lose a couple $1,000s by kind of gambling to see if people are going to sign up for the retreat that I produce. So that has been a huge weight off my shoulder, and also just extremely grateful that people trust me and want to come on this retreat with me in Nicaragua. And it's what I really believe in, the ethical part of the retreat. And so amazing to see people who are on board with this idea and philosophy of running yoga retreat in an ethical way. So thank you, everybody who signed up. If you're interested in signing up, please do. I'm so excited to host this retreat. And hopefully it's going to be a yearly thing from now on. All right, so that's like the main highlights of 2024. I also want to talk about the places I got to travel this year. I may have missed a few, but this is the list I came up with. In the beginning of the year, I traveled to Oakland multiple times for assisting Annie's teacher training. I went to Tulum, Mexico to assist the final part of the teacher training. And I also traveled to San Luis Obispo, slow road trip there for the weekend with my partner before I left to Peru. And I really loved Slow. It was such a cool town and I could totally see myself living there. And then I went to Peru. In Peru, I got to see Moyobamba, which is the town that I lived in. I spent quite a bit of time in Cusco, which I loved. I spent time in Lima, which is the capital. I also visited Arequipa with my mom, did some trekking there and some hiking. I also visited Chachapoya, where there's a beautiful waterfall hike that I got to do. and also visited Wakachina with my friend Alina. And that was a place with sand dunes, and we could slide on almost like a snowboarding things down the sand dune. And that was a really fun experience. And then on my way back from Peru, I stopped in El Salvador, met up with my partner, spent a week in El Salvador, which was really fun. And after I got back, soon after I got back to Long Beach, I went to go visit my best friend Serena in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Shout out to Serena. Always love visiting her and visiting Mexico, but most importantly, spending quality time with my best friend is just priceless. And next, I got to go visit Oregon for my friend's wedding, which was really fun. And I got to spend a whole weekend with a group of just nourishing women that I just feel so, my heart feels so full every time I hang out with them. So that was really fun. And I got to go visit Nicaragua in earlier December to go check out this retreat center and wanted to see it with my eyes before I book this place for my retreat. And at the end of that 5 days of me visiting Nicaragua, I made my decision to book it and announced my retreat. And within less than a week, 10 people signed up, which I'm so excited and grateful for. So that was a Nicaragua trip. And for my birthday weekend, my partner took me to Joshua Tree for the weekend to enjoy my birthday in a beautiful Airbnb and go check out the park. So that's kind of my places that I got to travel to in 2024. I may have missed a few, but that's a lot. And I'm always so grateful of the privilege I have to be able to travel so much. And traveling is such a big part of me and also such a priority in my life that even when I was a newbie yoga teacher, that when I wasn't making a lot of money, I lived in a tiny room which costed $475, and I had 3 roommates. I rode my bicycles around to teach yoga classes because I didn't own a car or scooter. Even from those times, making sure I saved enough to travel once or twice a year was a big priority in my life. So even from those times, I always saved enough money to be able to travel. So I am happy that this has been my reality since I started teaching yoga. Every year I do travel quite a bit, and that's something that is important for me. So I know this is not the priority for many people, but just like anything, if that is your priority, you set your mind to making sure carving out times and making sure you're saving enough money to be able to do this thing that brings you joy. I would highly recommend you continue to do that. Don't lose that and continue to do things that brings you joy, even if that means maybe you have to make a sacrifice somewhere else, or even if that means you have to save a little bit of money each paycheck. Do the things you love and make it a priority. And I want to talk about the growth in my business or growth in my yoga teaching career for 2024. I think obviously some of these are repeats of what I already said, but me assisting Annie's 200-hour teacher training was a huge stepping stone to where I am today. Without that, I wouldn't been able to have this opportunity to lead SmartFlow 200-hour teacher training in 2025. So that was a huge stepping stone for me. I also assisted Annie whenever she came to Center for Yoga or Orange County to teach her trainings or workshop. And that's been something that brings so much joy to me to be able to assist my teacher. And I think I have always witnessed assistant. Like whenever I take a training from a very well-known teacher, there's not always, but a lot of times there's assistant assisting the teacher. And for me to be able to fill that shoes to assist Annie in any possible way has been a huge joy for me. I just love assisting. I don't know if anybody also have experience of assisting and also love it as much as I do. I just really love assisting because I learned so much from assisting my teacher. Just watching how she moves around the room, how she reads the energy of the room, how she chooses to go to certain student to give hands-on assist versus how she choose not to go give hands-on assist on certain people, how she sees bodies and patterns and habits people have, just all of it. I learned so much from assisting her, and I think I have become better at watching and reading bodies because I assist my teacher. Obviously, I think on top of that, teaching many classes and continuing to educate myself is another contributing factor for me to improve the way I teach and how I see bodies. But definitely assisting my teacher is a huge honor for me. I really love it and I really feel honored to do it. So love that I get to assist Annie whenever she comes to LA or Orange County. And another growth in my career was that I got to teach 200-hour teacher trainings in Peru. That really made me a better teacher. It made me a better teacher trainer. And it made me realize how much I love it. It made me realize how much I want to do this more. And it made me realize that this is my dharma, is to teach teachers or teach trainings. For now, I guess that could change. And maybe this is like a small stepping stone dharma to get to my bigger dharma. But for now, I really do feel like teaching trainings is where I want to be and where I'm being called to move towards, although it scares me. But I think in a good way. This is a fear of stepping out of my comfort zone. And sometimes it's scary to do something new. It's scary to try something different so you can grow. So that is a direction I really want to take my teaching and my career too. And another growth in my teaching career is that I started teaching smart flow classes at Live Meta Studio in Laguna Niguel, Orange County. I teach 2 smart flow classes a week, and that has been a great addition in terms of teaching smart flow classes. That is actually titled Smart Flow. So that is really keeping me accountable to teach a smart flow class that is staying true to Annie's smart flow class. So that's been really fun. I don't play music in smart flow classes, which is new for me because everywhere else I do play music, mostly because I feel the outside pressure to play music. So this could be just like me making up this pressure and perception, but there's part of me that feels very liberating not to have to play music in the smart flow classes that I teach at Laguna Niguel. I would love to actually talk more about music in yoga classes. That might be a fun topic. Maybe I can bring some people in so we can both have a conversation about that. Because I'm not against music and I'm also not against no music. So anyway, probably a great topic to talk about in the future. Another growth in my teaching career is this upcoming Smart Flow 200-hour teacher training that I'm going to be teaching in Laguna Niguel in 2025. This is a huge, huge, huge milestone for me. And it makes me nervous and a little bit scary to think about and also so excited to teach it. So even though this hasn't happened yet, but me receiving and being given the opportunity to teach Smart Flow 200-hour teacher training, co-leading it with another co-teacher, Smart Flow teacher named Shanti, is a huge, huge opportunity, huge milestone. So I am definitely putting my mental attention and effort to really focusing on this 200-hour teacher training in early 2025 from February to May. That's kind of where all of my energy is going to go to because I really care. I want to do well. And it means so much to me to teach this teacher training. So that's another huge growth that I was given this opportunity. And another growth is that I celebrated 4-year anniversary of Virtual Yoga Studio. Started during the pandemic and it's still going strong. So to celebrate, I did an in-person event. It was yoga, sound, and cacao event. We did it at the park. Carlos came and played live music and we shared a cup of cacao from pure cacao I brought back from Peru with everyone. And that was such a heartwarming event because so many people showed up. I didn't think that many people were going to come. So it was super heartwarming to feel that so many people came to celebrate the anniversary, but also just, come together as a community practice yoga next to each other, share a cup of cacao together was just a very heartwarming experience for me. So thanks everyone who came to that event. It means so much to me. And last growth in my business or career in 2024 is finally making this yoga retreat happen and make it into reality in 2025. Again, similar to teacher training, it hasn't happened yet, but it is confirmed it's happening. And I am very proud that I came this far to finally offer this retreat. And I do want to give a shout out to Jo. She has been helping me with planning of this retreat, and she has been helping me keep in track to make sure to make this retreat dream come to reality. So although I probably had everything I needed to make this retreat into reality, I needed somebody else to kind of push me and make me realize that I can do it and give me deadlines so that it's going to really happen. So that's what Jo did for me. And she continues to help me with this planning of this retreat. And I can't thank Jo enough. So thank you, Jo, for helping me making this dream into reality. Next, I want to talk about the personal growth. So that was more like yoga teaching career growth, but personal growth of 2025. I always wanted to learn Spanish. And I knew enough to travel to Spanish-speaking country and get my message across and communicate all the required necessary communication points so that I can get around. But I always wanted to get better at my Spanish. I wanted to be able to have conversation with people of the country that I'm visiting, get to talk about more than just a surface level of how are you. So I decided to invest in Spanish tutor when I was in Cusco, Peru. I did 1 week intensive Spanish tutoring class for a week, which was helpful, which set me up for finally sign up for online Spanish tutor. I use a website called Preply, and I would highly recommend if you're trying to learn language. You can find so many tutors from all over the world, and you get to choose which tutor you want to go for. Everybody have different pricing depending on what country they're from or what kind of experience or education they have. But you can find very affordable online language tutor from anywhere between like $5, $7 for 50 minutes of class, up to probably you can find people who's charging 20, 40, $50. So you can kind of choose depending on the budget you have. But I found my tutor while I was still living in Peru. My tutor lives in Quito, Ecuador, but she's from Peru and Venezuela. And I've been having sessions with her twice a week for about 6 months now. And I am proud of myself for investing in my Spanish learning and continuing to learn using this Preply website and my amazing Spanish teacher. Her name is Dile. And if you ever are looking for Spanish teacher, I would highly recommend her. We see each other on like a video chat twice a week and do 50 minutes of Spanish lessons. And she gives me homework and all that. So if you're looking to learn another language, it doesn't have to be Spanish. It could be Japanese, Chinese, French, whatever it is, you can find a tutor on this website. Highly recommend. I'll put my referral code if you're interested in learning a new language. With the referral code, you get your first lesson 50% off. I really, really love that I am investing in my Spanish learning education right now twice a week. And it makes me feel good and happy that I'm challenging my brain in a different way. I am learning to be beginner. I'm learning to be okay with making lots of mistakes. And I know it's good for me to learn another language and also challenge my brain in this way. So anyway, that's one of the personal growth. I'm happy that I'm learning Spanish. I think I am better than I used to be. Obviously, I still have a long way to go, but I am happy that I'm continuing to invest in myself to continue learning Spanish. Another personal growth was me moving to Peru, living in another country for 4 months. Again, putting myself in a uncomfortable situation, so I can grow. So that has been amazing. I met amazing people. I got to travel and adventure to so many amazing, beautiful places in Peru. That was definitely a huge personal growth for me, just moving to Peru. And another personal growth is this training I'm doing for a marathon. Like I said, I haven't ran for almost 10 years. So being able to retrain my body to run, as well as continue to do strength training so my body can strengthen and build endurance without getting injured, has been a really good experience for me. Again, another challenge of staying committed to something I put my mind to, kind of like starting this podcast. When I start something and commit, I like to give it all and don't want to be flaky. So this training program has been a challenge to fit in my busy teaching schedule, but it's also been wonderful to be training towards something, having a fitness goal that I am training towards something. And another sweet thing about this training is that all the long runs I run with my sister because we're training together. And that means a couple of hours that we get to have a quality time and have conversation with each other and catch up and share stories and get advice on things from each other. And that's been a really, really beautiful thing because since my sister became a mother, she's been really, really busy. So I haven't been able to have a lot of quality time with her. But through this marathon training, I've been able to have nice quality time of conversation with my sister as we train and ran for hours and hours and hours. So that's been a great experience for me. And that led me to my final personal growth, or something I'm happy about, is that I think I did spend more time outside this year due to moving to Peru, traveling and exploring new countries, as well as in the marathon training, we run outside. So it got me to be more outside, spend more time outside. And that's been a wonderful thing. So for 2025, I am looking forward to my first time leading SmartFlow 200-hour teacher training. I'm a little nervous, but excited and really want to do well. And another first for me is running this ethical yoga retreat. I am so excited, slightly nervous and scared, and at the same time, extremely excited to be running this retreat. Both of these things are my dream come true, running SmartFlow teacher training and running an ethical yoga retreat. So these are going to be my first for me. Because it's my first, I'm sure there'll be a learning curve, and I am slightly scared and at the same time excited to push myself through the discomfort. So I really want to believe in myself, in these experiences that's going to be happening in 2025. That is going to be my first time doing things. I guess first time running a marathon can go in there too. So I want to really believe in myself, trust myself, and really reduce my self-doubt in these things. I really want to believe that I can do it. I'm qualified to do it. I am ready to do it. And I need to trust myself more than anyone else. For continuing education in 2025, I already signed up to do a Chuck Miller's 5-day intensive training that's happening in Center for Yoga. Chuck Miller is someone that I heard his name so often. He's one of the OG in the yoga world. And I really don't want to miss a chance to be able to train and be around this senior teachers who's been doing this for a really long time. So I'm just really excited to learn wisdoms from Chuck Miller. And this training is happening in January in LA. So I'm excited for that. Another continuing education I'm interested in is yoga tune-up training with Joe Miller, also Jules Mitchell's different continuing education trainings. So these are very anatomy and biomechanic focused training that I really want to do. And I also really want to deepen my philosophy, continue doing my philosophy classes every Sunday with my teacher, Amy Echo, but maybe possibly signing up for more philosophy class series, yoga philosophy class series would be really fun. And another thing I would love to do is I would love to work or volunteer or be assistant at a physical therapist office to learn more about PT work. That is something I've always been interested in, but I just don't know if I want to go back to school for another 4, 5, 6 years to become a doctor of physical therapist. But I would love to just work at a PT office or volunteer or shadow at a PT office and just like learn from being there and watching them work and assist if that's possible. So that's something I would like to do is work for a PT office or volunteer at a PT office to learn. I think that'll make me a better yoga teacher, especially in my therapeutic accessible class that I teach and also in my private yoga classes that I'm teaching. And that also leads me to I am interested in Stott's Pilates training, which is pretty in-depth Pilates training. Not because I'm interested in becoming a Pilates teacher, I just want to become a better yoga teacher or maybe better therapeutic yoga teacher, better private one-on-one yoga teacher. So that's kind of where wanting to work in PT office and wanting to get Pilates certified is coming from that avenue. And that lead me to, I would love to increase more private client work. I teach about 3 private classes a week. It'll be wonderful if I can teach maybe 5, 6 private and reduce the number of group classes that I teach. It just makes sense financially. And also, I love the challenge of working with private client and the part of my brain that I get to use working with private client, depending on their specific needs, challenges, or condition that they're dealing with. How can I provide yoga practices that it's going to be beneficial for them? So that's been a really fun journey for me this year to work more privately with students, and I would love to do more of that. And some projects that I have going on that I would like to start on or complete is that I would like to put more content on Insight Timer, which is an app, maybe guided meditation, guided pranayama, some courses. And I would love to make an ebook with all my Modify Monday content I made for in the past 2, 3 years, as well as ebook on different cues that I have made in the past. So these are just kind of floating project in my head, in my brain that I would love to complete in 2025. And on the personal note for 2025, I would love to travel to Japan and Thailand. I would love to do a trekking trip in Japan called Kumarokodo. It's like, I think 4 or 5 days trails. And for Thailand, I just really want to visit my dad and spend more time with my dad in Thailand and maybe travel to the part of Thailand that I've never been with him. That would be really cool to do. I am interested in signing up for High Rocks, which is another competition, like a physical competition. So after the marathon, maybe I want to start training for High Rocks. That's a maybe, just because I do like having goals to train towards something rather than just to work out to work out. And again, I would always love to do more hiking, camping, backpacking, and spend more time outdoors. And lastly, I want to make more art, whatever that means. I love making beaded jewelry, maybe pottery classes, maybe photography, painting. I just would love to do more art and create more art. I think that is very therapeutic for my brain and my nervous system. And lastly, I want to share the word of the year for me. 2024, the word of the year was ease. I came up with the word ease for 2024 because I was so burned out, exhausted, was working way too much, and stressed out. So I wanted to invite in the word ease for 2024 so I can do less, create better boundaries, say more no to things and project, and only say yes to things that matters so I can have more ease in my day-to-day life. I think I did okay at some point and not so okay at other point in my 2024 with this goal of ease. I do think going to Peru helped me have more ease. I wasn't as crazy busy, but I do think end of 2024, I am back to being busy again. So that is my pattern that I need to work on. The word of the year for 2025 for me is trust. I said earlier, I want to make sure that I trust myself and I believe in myself that I am capable and I am ready. I am well equipped, well educated, and qualified to do this scary project I have coming up in 2025, which is mainly leading a Smart Flow 200-hour teacher training and leading my ethical yoga retreat. Because this is new project for me, new things I have never done, these two things, it comes with a little bit of fear. It comes with a little bit of nervousness. And I want to make sure I trust myself, trust my ability to do these things in the best way possible. Doing anything for the first time is always going to be slightly scary, but you just have to do it. And once more you do it, you're just going to get better at it. Same as teaching yoga. As a new yoga teacher, teaching a yoga class is scary. You're not used to it. You're going to trip on your words and you're not going to be great at it from the beginning. But more you do it, more you refine your skills, and more time you do it, more frequency, longer period of time you've been doing it, it's going to get more comfortable. You're going to get better at it, and you're going to feel more in alignment with it. So that is what the word of 2025 is for me. Trust myself that I can do it. It's my first Smart Flow 200-hour teacher training. It's my first ethical yoga retreat I'm leading. And I hope this is first of many to come. So first time it's going to be a little scary, but I want to continue to trust myself, have positive mindset, and believe in myself that I can do these things well. So that is my end of the year wrap up ramble. I went on for quite some time. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I am excited for 2025 to come. You can always reach out to me on Instagram at Reika Yoga, or message me on my website, www.reikayoga.com. Everything I mentioned, the links and all, will be on the show notes, so you can find everything I mentioned earlier. And otherwise, I hope you have a great end of the year, and I will speak to you next year in 2025.